Hi friends, in this video I am planning to discuss about some of the exam tips. It will be beneficial those who are planning to attend Cambridge IGCSE O-level economics examination. Only 55 days are remaining for your exam. So when you are preparing for the exam, what are the things you need to be noted and how you can able to improve your performance and scoring a better grades. Assessment objective as a percentage of each component. So as we all know that economics we have two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Actually we have three assessment objectives: knowledge and understanding, analysis and evaluation. And weightage of each component you can able to see it here. Paper 1 weightage is 30%, paper 2 weightage is 70%. In this 30%, knowledge and understanding 50%, analysis is 50%. In paper 2, knowledge is 35%, analysis 35%, and evaluation is 30%. So in paper 1 you don't need to be go for any evaluation, but paper 2 main paper, in that one 30% weightage is given for evaluation even. And assessment objective weightage in weighting in full qualification, we can see that both paper together we will be say that knowledge and understanding 40%, analysis 40%, and evaluation 20%. So here you can see that common words. It is the most important part before I am entering to the examination tips. Here the common word means exactly what examiner is expecting as students have to do. Normally the common words are like analyze, calculate, define, describe, discuss, explain, give, identify, and state. Analyze, the command word, it means that examine in detail to show the meaning, identify the elements and relationship between them. Here, analyze questions are normally section B, C question. Like we will be say that 6-mark question. Normally they will ask analyze. So here you have to be first, if there will be a knowledge portion, you have to be write a definition. Then you have to be an application and analysis will be there, and you have to be go for a depth meaning like using diagrams and identify the relationship between them and everything. Then next command word is calculate. Calculate is normally we know that we can able to identify that one in case study questions, and section B 2-mark questions also you can able to identify the calculate questions. Then define, that is about the key terms. The it will come under the category of knowledge. It is normally asked for the 2-mark. Then describe, that is normally 4-mark questions will come like this. Describe the characteristics of money or a characteristics of central bank or a commercial bank, like that. So here you can able to write in a point wise. Describe means you can able to write with a listed like a point like answer you can able to write there. Then discuss question, normally the last questions like a case study and a section B 8-mark questions, and sometimes it will be 6-mark in the case study. In section B it is 8-mark question. Normally they used to ask from the discuss question. In discuss question, knowledge, application and analysis will be one part, and most importantly they are needed to write evaluations even. Then sometimes the 2-mark and 4-mark question they will ask explain. So explain means that set out the purpose or reason, make the relation between the things and evidence, and provide the way and how, and support with the relevant evidence. And next to 2-mark question they may be asked like a give an example of, like that also they will ask. Then identify, in there you have to be name it or select it, or you have to be recognize it. Then state and express in clear terms. State means what? It's expressed in a clear terms. So now I am just explaining how to answer a 2-mark question. Here basically assessment objective 1 and assessment objective 2, knowledge and understand and analyze, you have to be use it very carefully in this question. Sometimes most of the students will fail to attain 2 out of 2 in this section. It is not because of the question is difficult, It is only because of the student doesn't know how to answer it. For example, here students have to show the knowledge and understanding of the definition, formulas, concept or principles or theories. Use an economic vocabulary and terminology. That is the most important factor. Use an economic vocabulary and terminology. Make the points clear. So for example, I'm taking identify one example of direct tax and one example of an indirect tax. So when you are answering this question, normally we used to write sometimes two direct tax examples like income tax and corporation tax. But the question itself, they are saying that you have to be write one example for direct tax and one example for indirect tax. So here what examiner need is that you have to be identify these two type of tax and you should be differentiate these two type of tax. That is the objective of the examiner. So when students are writing the question, sometimes they may write direct tax, comma, we will be write income tax, or otherwise indirect tax, comma, corporation tax. So here the problem is that indirect tax you identified as a corporation tax. So corporation tax and income tax, these both will come under the direct tax only. Sometimes some students, those who knows the difference between this direct tax and indirect tax clearly, they may state in like income tax and value added tax. But if you are writing like this, you won't be get any marks because you are just separated by using a comma or a next line. If you are writing in a next line, okay, example, direct tax, income tax, like that means that will be better way. You can, examiner will not create any confusion. Otherwise, examiner will get confused. You wrote about, okay, two examples you identified, whether which one is direct one, which one is indirect one, we can't able to say it clearly. So when you are writing 2-mark question, if it is an identify means, you have to identify it very clearly. Like if it is a direct and indirect tax means, you have to make it separately, very clearly. For example, define monetary policy. So normally we knows that interest rate and money supply. Normally monetary policy comes, everyone will write interest rate and money supply. But the question is to define. Define means what? Show the knowledge and understanding. The definitions are clearly. Use an economic vocabulary there. So these are the problems when you are writing an exam. For example, in a monetary policy is a policy taken by the monetary authority of a country to manipulate aggregate demand by using interest rate and money supply. So like this, you have to be write a clear cut definition. It doesn't mean that accurate exactly you have to be write like a printed in the textbook. It is not like that. It should be a clear. That is the first thing. Makes points clear and show your understanding in a clear way. That's all. So write an example of a monetary policy. We have a two type of monetary policy, expansionary monetary policy and contractionary monetary policy. Those things are actually not needed here. That is a waste of time. So don't do like that. If they ask you to define monetary policy means, give a clear definition of monetary policy. That is enough. Okay. Then define gross domestic product. It's the total amount of goods and services produced in an economy with an available resources fully and efficiently utilized at a particular price level at a particular period of time. This is what's a clear definition. But normally when you are writing, it is a total amount of goods and services produced in an economy. There we will stop it. Then you will score only 1 mark there. So that is the problem. So when you are attending 2 mark, make sure that understand what is a command word and make sure that there will be at least 2 sentences which will be given 2 marks for you. Sometimes some will be identify means there will be 2 stuff you have to be identified, that you have to be identified. Then define means make sure that you are making the points well clear. Then define gross domestic product means time period at a particular period of time. That is the most important factor you need to be added to that. Most common mistakes only I am discussing here. So most of the students will forget to write about those kind of aspects. So when you are answering the question, make sure that you are not doing these kind of mistakes hereafter. So here in 4-mark question we are discussing. Here basically the assessment objective 1 and assessment objective 2 are most important. That means knowledge and understanding, application and analysis. So here examiner is expecting shows a knowledge and understanding of definitions, formulas, concepts, principles and theories, organize and interpret the data. Apply economic knowledge and understanding to written and numerical and diagrammatic graphical data. Analyze the economic issues and situations and identify causes and consequences. In 4-mark question, basically the questions will be like explain 2 factors, explain 2 reasons, explain 2 functions. So I just selected some sample questions here. We can go for that. What are the mistakes when you are attempting that particular questions? For example, explain 2 reasons why a firm may become more capital intensive as it grows. So when firm will grow, in the long run the firm used to grow, that time why it become more capital intensive? What is the reason? 2 reasons you have to identify. Normally everyone will write that, yeah, capital, if you are using more capital, automatically productivity will increase, output will increase. Then you guys will be continuing explaining. But in those kind of answers, you will be get only half of the mark. That means 2 marks. Why? Because here they are asking the 2 reasons. So first you have to identify first reason, it will increase the output. Second reason, it will reduce the cost, or in order to achieve economies of scale. Like that, first reason, second reason separately you have to identify. Then you will be get a 2 mark. Then question command word is what? Explain. So you have to be explain each command word. For example, you are saying that capital, if you are using more and more capital, where cost of production will fall, and economies of scale we can able to achieve, like a technical economies of scale. Or otherwise we can able to try, capital is more productive than the labor. Or we can able to say that capital is very cheap and labor is very expensive. So like that, you have to be give a exactly a reason also. Most of the students fail to give exact reasons. They may give the 2 reasons, but they will not explain it well, why it will happen or how it will happen. So here only the question, the concept, principles, theories, organize and interpret. You guys are forgetting, or you guys have failed to interpret the reason. That is the reason. Here normally when you are answering, that time you will be used to jump with the links. Jumping links, the problem will be there. For example, why the exact reason, that connection, the chain you will not be developed. For example, next question we can see here, explain 2 causes of inflation. Actually, normally causes of inflation we know that either because of increase in aggregate demand or because of reducing aggregate supply. That is called a demand pull inflation and a cost push inflation. So 2 causes of inflation, why demand is increasing. So because first reason due to increase in aggregate demand. Second reason due to reducing aggregate supply. That we will identify, but you guys will fail to explain why this has happened. For example, why aggregate demand is shifted right. What is the reason for that? Because of expansion of fiscal policies like increasing government spending or reducing tax, or we will be say that reducing interest rate and increasing money supply. So those reasons you may fail to explain. Then another common mistakes in this kind of question is that normally it is a macro question, isn't it? Sometimes students will explain in a micro point of view. Demand is increased because the demand for the product is increased. Actually, demand for a one product is increased, it won't increase aggregate demand. So like these kind of common mistakes also normally students used to do. So make sure read the question very carefully, whether it is a micro question or a macro question. For example, previous question you take, that is actually a micro question, but second question, explain 2 causes of inflation. Inflation is a macro question. So students need to be identify the question word and the command word very clearly, and you have to be keep in mind explain means you have to be explain. 2 causes means you have to be identify first cause, second cause, like that you have to be specified. Is it possible to make it a different paragraph means that will be well appreciated. Then the third question, explain 2 functions of money. In this question normally sometimes students used to be write that functions of money means sometimes they will be confused with characteristics of money like accessibility, divisibility, log. Actually in this question we have 4 functions of money, isn't it? That 4 functions only you have to, any 2 only you have to be explained here, like a medium of exchange, store of value, standard for deferred payment, unit of account, like that. Then here normally when you are writing, students used to write money used to buy goods and services. Actually they forgot to identify the function, but just to simply state that one. So here's the most important factor is that first you have to identify the function, then you have to be explained. Understood? 2 mark you will be get to identify the two function. Then remaining 2 mark you will be get it from the explaining two functions. Normally in this 4 mark questions, students used to fail to score a good score because they didn't explain it well. So when you are explaining, that explanation will not be accurate. Like if it is a need geographical data, for example, we will be say that in a case study, 4 mark questions, there will be some data references will be needed, application may be needed, but you guys may forgot to include that one, or exemplification may be needed, but you guys may be forgot to include that one. Then causes means you have to be identify the causes now, and analyze, that means how you will be explain, how you will be develop the chain. Those things you have to be keep in mind when you are answering for 4 mark question. So in the case of 6 mark question, here basically assessment objective 1 and assessment objective 2 are discussed. That means knowledge, application and analysis. So here what examiner is expecting is that analyze the economic knowledge and understanding to recognize and interpret the data, and statistics to organize the pattern in data and deduce the economic relationship, and analyze the economic issues and situations and identify the causes and consequences. So actually section B C question will be always a 6 mark question. For example, questions will be like analyze the advantages that a multinational company has over the firm which only produces domestically. For example, in this question, analyze is the question word. That the command word we had to identify, it is analyze, and it is a 6 mark question. So at least a minimum 4 points you have to be keep in mind. At least a minimum 4 points you have to be consider. You have to be identify and you have to be well explained. Then in here knowledge you can able to write about what you mean by multinational company. You can able to use that multinational company definition there in the starting page. Then you can able to identify the 4 advantages. Then you can explain one by one and how the consequence. For example, in first one we said now economic knowledge and understanding to organize and interpret the data. You have to be organized and you have to interpret the data and recognize the pattern in the data and deduce the economic relationship due to how it will become advantage. For example, what is an advantage multinational company have over the domestically produced company? For example, if you are taking a domestic firm and a multinational company, what are the advantages multinational company is having? So normally we all know that what are the advantages, like a multinational company having a wider market. We will be say that a low production cost. That means because of economies of scale. And then if you are taking all the economies of scale as a 1 point, or if you are intelligent candidate means they can able to take it as a different point, like technical economies of scale, financial economies of scale, bulk buying economies of scale. So like that you can able to take it and you can able to explain it. Then multinational company will have a more profits, so that automatically they can able to spend on research and development. Then automatically what will happen, productivity will increase, profit will fall, price will fall and profit will rise. So they can spend it more on advertisement, so that these all are come under the advantages. So here normally what is a common mistake student used to be doing is that if they are saying about to write about the advantages, sometimes we will stick with only one advantages. And question word you have to always compare with the domestically produced form. When you make a point, you have to understand that question is about a multinational company, advantages of multinational company over domestically produced form. So always when you are making answer, your advantages will be always discussed along with the domestically produced form. How it is not available. For example, financial economies of scale. Multinational companies are large enough so that the banks and from financial institutions they can able to get a low interest rate loans very easily. But in the case of domestically produced form, for example, in that one market share is very less, so they may be feel very difficult to get a loans and from the local financial institutions. So like that you have to compare it. Always the question you have to be compare, and you have to be say that finally your point have to be end like that. So this is why we are saying that multinational company having more advantages than the domestically produced form. And one diagram is must in this kind of questions. It will be given more color for your answer. For example, in this case you can able to use economies of scale diagram, a falling long run average cost curve. There it is very clear is that drawing diagram doesn't matter, but draw it in a accurate way. Mark x and y axis very clearly, and you must have an idea about what you are drawing. For example, economies of scale means and the following portion of LRIC must be clearly marked and it should be well explained like that. Okay, when we go for the second question, analyze the consequences of appreciating currency on current account balance of payment. Here you see appreciation of currency, current account balance of payment. Here also same like previously multinational company and domestically produced formula. So here also appreciating of currency, how it will affect the current account balance of payment. They got the idea, the consequences of appreciating currency on current account balance of payment. If the currency is appreciated, so first you have to be right what do you mean by appreciation of currency, and here you have to use an exemplification. You have to select one currency or one country or one commodity as an example. When currency is appreciating, what will happen to that particular commodity prices, and what will happen to the international competitiveness, and what will happen to the export and import. And always when you are making a particular point, you have to be connect with that, how that particular consequences will affect the balance of payment. Understood? Your final outcome is that that particular point will influence the balance of payment. For example, you are saying about the export prices increasing. Export price increasing means what will happen to the demand for export. Demand for export will fall, and that may be leads toward a current account, a trading goods account deficit. That will be result overall balance of payment deficit like that. So you have to be use an exemplification, and you can able to connect with the inflation, and you can able to connect with the international competitiveness like that. You have to be connected, and here the price elasticity of demand for export and import also you can use it, but it is not necessary. So here which for example you can able to say that which diagram I can use it. You may ask about this one, isn't it? In this question, the consequences of appreciating currency, what will happen on the current account balance of payment. So you can have appreciation of currency means what will happen to the export price and import price. You knows that one, isn't it? So export price will increase and import price will fall. Import price will fall means what will happen to the supply, cost of production will fall, so that supply will increase. So like that kind of things you can able to explain, and by using the diagram also you can able to use it that one. That's what you are saying, that you have to use an exemplification. Actually question is a macro question, so it is better to go for aggregate demand and aggregate supply and its impact. If you are using means, that will give you more color to your answer. Then last question, analyze how investment in research and development can help a firm to grow in size. For example, if you spend more money on research and development, it will be helps to achieve a dynamic efficiency. If you are spending more on research and development, the development of a new product or a new technique or a new machinery, that will be more productive and more efficient. That will increase the profitability, and that will be increasing the output productivity. So aggregate supply will increase. So like that you can able to connect. It is same like economies of scale also you can connect it, and you can use an economies of scale diagram even. Normally when you are writing 6-mark question, what are the mistakes done by the student is that first one, they forgot to give a knowledge portion. So research and development, or we will be say that what do you mean by investment on research and development, or what do you mean by appreciation of currency, or what do you mean by balance of payment, current account, or what do you mean by multinational company. So these kind of knowledge terms first you have to be defined it very clearly. Then sometimes students are failed to understand the question properly. Always there will be two portions to connect, isn't it? For example, first portion MNC and domestically produced firm, appreciation of currency and balance of payment. Here investment in research and development and a size of firms to grow in size. For example, how a firm can able to grow. So like that two aspect will be there. So always you have to be connect your analysis, and you have to be develop the relationship, causes and effects and consequences of this one. Do you got the idea? The two aspects. So analyzing the question word, identify the commenting word, and read the question very carefully, and do not try to jump the links. You have to be explained one by one. Due to this one, what will happen, how this will affect this one. Like that you have to be always develop. And normally when you are answering 6-mark question, students used to be write only one big paragraph like a bedsheet answer. That is actually not appreciated. In order to make your answer more simple and more colorful, it is better to divide point by point as a separate paragraph. Then it will be easy for the examiner to identify it. That's all with the 6-mark question. So in last 8-mark question, that is section B, always D questions will be 8-mark question. It is always discuss questions. Here what examiner is expecting from you is that evaluate the economic information, issues, situations and data, support the assessment with the relevant economic analysis, and recognize uncertainties of the outcomes of an economic decisions and events, and communicate your economic thinking in a logical and clear manner. For example, when you are answering 8-mark question, I told you, you have a 3 objective: knowledge, application and analysis, and evaluation. So first 5 mark is knowledge and understanding, application analysis. That is, you will be get a maximum, you can score a 5 marks there. For example, discuss whether or not an increase in the wages will reduce the firm's profit. So question, comment word we identified as a discuss question. Then here, increase in wages will reduce the firm's profit. So wages and profit. So knowledge portion, you can have to define what do you mean by wages and what do you mean by profit. And how an increase in the wages will reduce the profit, you have to be explained. That is called application and analysis. There you have to be detailed chain without linking, without jump any links, one-to-one reason and the consequences you have to be explained. For example, wage cost increases, what will happen? Wage bills of the firms will increase. That may lead to increase in the cost of production. When the cost of production increases, automatically what will happen? Supply curve will shift to left. Due to that, what will happen? Price of the products will increase. When the price of the products will increase, automatically we know that demand for the products will fall. If the firm is having an elastic demand, increasing the price may lead to fall in the revenue, so that the profit of the firm will fall. Or we know that revenue minus cost is what? Profit. If this wage increases, the cost of production is increases, then the revenue is falling because of no one is buying. The demand for the product is contracting. So like that, you have to be explained a correct link, a chain of reasoning with exemplification, with the diagrams. The cost increasing, you can able to shift the supply curve left, and you can able to show that one with the help of the diagram. Then evaluation, it may not always happen. For example, sometimes if an examiner is expecting maximum 5 marks either from knowledge and understanding and application analysis side or from evaluation side. For example, you can get it a 5 marks from the evaluation alone itself. It won't always happen, because increasing the wage cost may lead to what? Workers will be getting higher wages, so they will be more motivated, so their productivity will increase, output will increase. When the wages are higher, we can easily get a skilled laborers, so that the recruitment charges will fall and the cost of production of the firm will fall and profitability will increase. Or you can able to say that when the wages increases, automatically we can able to say that other factors, other cost is falling, like other raw material prices is falling. For example, wages increases, income of the people will increase, so that the demand for the product will increase. Like that also you can able to write. So here we are saying that it is about recognize the uncertainties of the uncertainties of the outcomes of economic decisions and events. So when the wage rate increases, that is an economic decision. What will be the outcomes? Uncertainties. So where will be the problem? So A to Z, a very detailed explanation is needed in the discuss question. Especially keep in mind knowledge and application and analysis, and one diagram and one last evaluation. So here normally students used to ask how many points I used to write in the 8-mark question. Normally it is not about the point, it is about how depth you are analyzing it. If you are writing 2 or 3 points, that is fine, but how deep you are explaining it, how you exemplified it, how you analyzed it, that is a matter. It is not about the number of points, but normally in an 8-mark question, minimum 4 knowledge application analysis point you can have to write, and minimum 3 evaluation point you can have to develop. That is my suggestion, that's all. Okay, when we are going for the next question, whether or not a reduction in taxes is beneficial for the economy. So a reduction in taxes is the question. So you can able to write a reduction in taxes and expansionary fiscal policy. Then you can able to say that whether it will beneficial. Expansion policy is the policy aims to increase aggregate demand. So you can connect to aggregate demand and increase aggregate demand and macroeconomic objective. Everything we can able to say that everything we can able to achieve, like income will increase, standard of living will increase, income inequality will fall, and like that you can able to connect it and you can able to explain it well. But it is not always beneficial. Why? Because a fall in the tax. For example, government revenue, what will happen? Government revenue will fall. Budget deficit, we will reserve fiscal deficit. So like that you can able to connect it. What are the evaluation point? For example, tax rates falls, it will attract so many multinational companies, so their domestic industries can't able to survive. So like that depth analysis we can able to go, and you can able to develop a chain by chain, and you can able to score a high marks in this one. So here I just try to explain which are the factors you have to keep in mind, especially when you are writing a IGCSE Cambridge O-level exam. Keep in mind first what is the command word, identify the command word and what examiner is expecting from the command word. When you are writing time, how deep you have to be go for. In 6 mark and 8 mark, sometimes the students have a tendency to write more. It doesn't mean that you have to be write more. It is about how well you analyzed and understood that particular point and how you apply it and how you evaluate it. That's all. That is our assessment objective. So I wish you very all the best for all of them. And if you have any problem regarding this one, just you can contact, you can comment it, and you can just please subscribe my channel. That's all. Thank you.